How to recognize patterns and how do you deal with patterns? There is something called power of suggestion. When someone tells you something, whether it comes from the reading of your astrological chart or reading something in the newspaper about your sun sign, or a repeated sentence, whether it is in society or because of COVID, or because who is the president or prime minister of a country and which political party, and hence, or general consensus about economy. People talk about, they give a sentence, including some people within our families would say, oh, you are so dumb. Oh, you will never be successful, or so forth. Oh, you are not artistic, you are not outgoing, or why are you such a flirt? Unknowingly, through the power of suggestion, we live them. Unknowingly, through the power of suggestion, we live those sentences that are repeatedly told to us, whether by people within our family, or news media, or society at large. It doesn't make those sentences right or wrong. We live those sentences. Those can be patterns because we give power to them by living them. Okay, what do I do now? How do I counter them? You can say it one way or two ways. One way is called power of affirmations. Use affirmation cards or affirm what you really want in your life. Affirm what you want to manifest. Affirm a desirable outcome. For example, जो हुआ अच्छा हुआ, जो हो रहा है अच्छा हो रहा है, जो होगा मेरे अच्छे के लिए ही होगा. Whatever has happened for good. Whatever is happening for good. Whatever will happen shall happen only for my best. There are endless affirmations, and I highly recommend in every single household Loving Myself affirmation cards by Louise Hay. Affirm good, positive. So take the same idea. So we can beat these patterns in their own game. How? So we are the ones who are giving life to the patterns by living the patterns through the power of suggestion. Oh, so why not we give this power of suggestion to something that we want, something positive? So don't think bad, don't think negative, don't speak bad, don't speak negative. It's simply that. Don't believe in bad, don't believe in negative. Because if negative can take place in my life by thinking and feeling negative, why can't I make positive things happen in my life? So affirm the opposite of pattern. Actually, we don't even want to do opposite of pattern. Because the moment we are opposing something, we are giving power to it. Standing against abortion, you're really giving power to abortion. Standing against hatred, you're giving power to hatred. Why stand against something? Phyllis Crystal used to say, she said, why give power to go against something? Give power to something that you want in your life. So that is how you deal with patterns, because we can spend endless amount of time in this area, because each person's pattern is going to be unique to them. And it's not going to be just a single pattern. We live multiple patterns. What is another hack to deal with patterns? You cannot deal with patterns when you're under stress. When you're under stress, you cannot deal with patterns. When you're angry, you cannot deal with patterns. When you're feeling sick, you cannot deal with. When I sick means, if all what is on your mind is to deal with the disease, then that's not the time for that sadhana. Although sickness is perhaps the best time, because that is when we are physically calmed down. That's in some way the best opportunity for us to look at patterns, because it forces us. When we're feeling weak, it is very hard to look at patterns, because patterns themselves make us look weak. So what is the ultimate way to look at and deal with patterns? It is not hate. It is not going against patterns. The single most Divyastra, the ultimate divine weapon, is love. You deal with patterns through love, speak lovingly, Think lovingly, think thoughts of love, say words which are full of love, and follow your heart. From a Phyllis Crystal method perspective, the entire method deals with symbols. And symbols are the language of the subconscious mind. And the patterns that are taking place, they have their power at the subconscious mind level. Hence, no matter what we want to do at the conscious mind level, it has absolutely no effect at the subconscious level, or minimal effect. So, depending upon what pattern you're dealing with, picking up a tool from Phyllis Crystal method, whether it is cutting the ties from a symbol representing the pattern. If it is fear is the pattern, dealing with fear would be something like the star. How else can you deal with pattern? Surrender. Surrender. Surrender, 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 surrender. Surrender the pattern, surrender yourself, surrender your attachment to the pattern, surrender your aversion to the pattern, surrender your hate to the pattern, surrender everything about the pattern. We are giving power to the patterns. The patterns cannot live by themselves. We live the patterns. We give life to the patterns just like we give life to the virus. Viruses are non-living entities. They need host. So the patterns are basically sentences. They are concepts. They're ideas. Like power of suggestion. It's only a suggestion. Only when somebody lives that suggestion you give power. So what to do instead? How do I live my life? Live the teachings of the high sea. Live the teachings of your God. Live the teachings of Baba. Live the teachings of what you believe in. Do that instead. That is the best counter to the patterns, because you've retrieved the power from the patterns. And where have you given it? You've given it power to your higher consciousness. Then you become a force on this planet. Unstoppable force. ओ भाई रावण जितना बड़ा राक्षस क्यों ना हो, राम के सामने रावण कुछ भी नहीं था. So follow Rama, your higher consciousness. Why follow Ravana, your patterns? Vibhishana was the only one who had the courage. Even though he was subdued, he was under the influence, he was part of that cloud of pattern, family of that Rakshasa family. But he was able to escape that because he was attached to the Atma Rama, Sai Rama. So Ram Nam is not particularly, I'm not giving anybody a mantra. It can be Allahu Akbar, it can be Mother Mary have mercy, Quan Ma. It could be whatever religion, faith you have, or no religion or no faith. There is no requirement to believe in God to deal with patterns. But if you do believe in God, then it becomes very easy and straightforward. If you don't believe in God, then whatever you believe in, forget about the belief, whatever you love, the power that helps us deal with the patterns is love, power of love. If you love golfing, then that is how you're going to deal with patterns. It's not golf that is going to deal with the pattern. It's your love for something that is going to deal with patterns. It is love. Give power to love. Live love. Yeah. Why live my patterns? Live what you love. Live whatever you love.